wish you didn't record that.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. So the whole point of this little experience that we're going to have here today is just to start to move towards having consistency in Outlook, in terms of the way you create mail, how you store mail, what you use mail for, so that everybody's kind of on the same page and doing it the same way. So one of the first things I want to talk about right out of the gate is the basically the format of the email. So I'm going to open up a new email. This is what mine looks like, and I have the worst signature in the world, but I just don't care, So one of the things that we want to do, of course, you put in the to in the CC, and you know how to do all that stuff and add blind carbon copies and all that sort of thing. And but there's a certain couple of things on an email that are kind of important, and one is the subject line. And one of my pet peeves, and this is me personally, and we talked about this a little earlier, is this idea that you put the text of your message in the subject line. That's not what subject lines are for. Subject lines are to give a little bit of information so that people will look at the email and know basically a little bit about what it's there. So one of the things that, and we talked about this, is to start out all your subject lines with the word Agfinity dash, right? And so that way, and then put whatever. You might put the broker note, you might put the broker note number, you might put an invoice number, you might put, whatever little bit of information. But then when the guy that gets it, because he might not immediately say, oh, this is from Jared. Jared is Agfinity. In the subject line, you'll say Agfinity. And, oh, okay, now I know who this guy is. And I don't like him, so I'm going to delete it. Or I like him, I'm going to read it and buy his stuff or whatever. So that's one little thing. We're going to try to create over a little bit of time a few more what we're going to call business rules, and we'll probably document them and stuff like that. Today we're just sort of starting out with that and giving you a few things, but anyways, that's kind of one that is definitely going to be part of that.
I know how to do it, but in case Tracy or someone doesn't, like if the BCC field isn't showing and you want to blind carbon copy someone,
right, you need to be able to bring that in, and what's that under options and BCC right there, and the from too, and then you can switch that, and then you can add all that. So under the options tab, and that's the other thing too, kind of if you don't know where something is, start searching through these tabs, because they actually lay it out pretty nice graphically, so you can kind of see what you're trying to do, and so that's usually a pretty good place to start. Going to start to create standard signatures, okay, and so that everybody has the same style of signature, and you guys can kind of, I think probably the one that Jared is using is going to kind of be a template that you'll start with, and then adjust it from there. So whether it has name and title, company name and logo or whatever, so that's going to be something that you guys need to create too, and I'll show you where to create signatures if you don't already. And let's go to that right now. Let's just close this. We don't want to save this. So to go to signatures, it's kind of a pain, because they made this kind of hard to get to. So you got to go file, you got to go options, and you got to go under I think it's advanced, is it?
Yeah. I think you can also, the way I get there is I click new email and I go to the signature tab and you can go and edit it right there.
Oh, can you? I've never done it that way. Let's do that.
That's my quick way, and then click signatures.
Oh, okay, yeah, and you can create them there. I have two signatures. You can create a bunch of them. I've got two, one for Masterpiece stuff and one for Try Leisure stuff. And you can put a different signature for the message under here, and have the replies have a different message, a different signature. So I know that these guys, they put the full-blown signature on the new message. The replies will have a simpler one. And so you might want to also send that out so that everybody knows how to create those. So to create a new one, you would click new, give it a name, go OK, and then basically you have a little mini Word document here that would allow you to create your signature. So we would I can't go into there, but if you could cut and paste it from another one, so you could open up an email, cut, and you could paste it into here, and to create your own signature. You got to be careful a little bit when you start working with a little too much graphics, because it starts to act weird and the formatting gets weird. So you make sure if you have a lot of little graphical things in there, that you make sure you view it. But if you have a standard one, you guys can work from that template, So
what we'll probably do then is, maybe not today, but tomorrow, we'll grab Jared's, and then we'll try to format everything off Jared's. If you have a concern and you want something different, then talk to us and we'll see if we make a change. But that way, just because it looks more professional, if we all have the same signatures.
And I think the other thing too about these business rules is that it's kind of a living document. Just because you made that rule doesn't mean it stays like that forever. If you've got ideas, talk about them and change them. Say, I think a better idea would be to do it this way or whatever. Well, fine. We just don't want. I think the idea is we don't want everybody just doing their own thing in the mail all over the place. It kind of looks a lot more professional when everybody's on the same page, and it becomes more efficient too. Okay, so the next thing that we want to look at is let's look at inbox organization. A lot of people struggle with organizing the emails in their inbox. And one of the things the way that I do it, and I've done it like this for years, and we've talked it over, and we thought, this is kind of a good idea. But the first thing that I do is I create over here on the side a whole bunch of folders that I'm going to store my stuff in. And the other thing about that is I store everything under inbox, okay? So in other words, if I close up inbox, I don't have a million things there, because I can create folders outside of inbox, right? I could create one out here and go new folder, and whoops, I ended up putting that one in deleted items, so I don't want that. But I could create one here on the top and go new folder, and I create this new folder that's outside of my inbox. And that way it just becomes all messy, because you've got junk mail, and then you've got this way, if they're all under inbox, they're all nicely, stored in there, and create it just like you do your folder structure on your computer, where you'll have subfolders. Because I go in here under my personal ones, I got a bunch of subfolders, and some of those will have subfolders, and so on and so forth, right? And so that way you can store it. Now, I've got emails back probably till 1998, so I store a lot of email, and I keep everything that's relevant. And I'm a big believer in that. I have a lot of information in my emails from over the years. So having a proper structure is kind of critical to be able to do that. You can still search the whole thing, but it's nice to be able to go into specific places and organize that. So I think probably for you guys, to start off with a simple structure, like you might have one for producers, one for buyers, and maybe administration. Maybe under administration, you might have 2 or 3 subcategories, and that kind of thing. And so that's another thing that, as far as business rules, you guys can sort of talk about that and decide what kind of categories do you want under all these, And but to keep it fairly simple to start with, because even once you've categorized them. So, for example, MDS stands for Masterpiece Data Services. That's my business. So I have all my clients under there, and stuff like that. I've got, my biggest one is TLC, and so that's a bucket I throw everything into, right? But if I ever wanted to try to change that and put different categories in there and move them around, I can easily just sort these lists, and I'm going to say, okay, everything that I got from Ann here, I am going to select that and drag it into this other list here called phones, and boom, I drag it, it goes in there, and that way I've got, I just reorganized all those, and it's pretty easy to organize it after if you want to, or you can do it by subject line or by date. I want to do everything. I'm going to categorize every email I got from 2014. Boom, goes in here, or something like that.
And you've had to alphabetize it yourself, or does it?
Where?
Like I noticed it's all on.
Yeah, it automatically puts it in order. That's why I wanted TLC at the very top.
Yeah.
So I put a
Oh,
1
you
in
put a
front of
one.
it. That's what I did, so that it would be at the top of the list, because it automatically puts it in alphabetical order, which is kind of annoying, you know. But there's ways around that. And then I have so I've got all my various clients there. So then what you do is when you're in inbox, you always have some place to put this stuff. All right. So when an email is dealt with, you move it out. So here's one. I haven't dealt with that yet. It's staying in there. I still have to do that today. This one here, I'm finished with that one, and I'm finished with that one. Those are TLC. I move them in here. They're gone. These ones are junk. I'm going to delete those. This one is junk. I'm going to delete that. This one I've dealt with. That's another customer down here, WearPro. And Cigar Place. Ooh, I better look at that one. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, but, you know, so I'm not afraid to delete them if I need to delete them.
What if I delete it and I want to get it again, though?
Well, then you don't delete it if you want to get it again, right? I'm going to talk about the garbage here right away. So anyways, I would go through, and this is something that I do daily, all the time. I'm constantly going through and basically cleaning out my inbox constantly. Otherwise, most of us, after 3 days, we'd have 600 emails in our inbox if you don't work at it constantly.
8.
Right? You know? And so it's something where I'm constantly getting, cleaning out and deleting these advertisements. And this one here I don't need to do with. Or typically I wouldn't leave an unread. See how this one shows 1 beside it? Because it isn't read. I would never move an unread message. You know, I would never have that. I kind of did that wrong. So now I have to go in and find it. So I'm going to have to resort that based on received. Go and find it.
You can right click and mark all as read.
Yeah, that's the other way to do it too. We'll do it here on deleted items. You can right click that and go mark all as read, and basically it'll take all those off there. That's another way to do that. So that's the inbox, and we can talk more about that on another, because I think we're going to do these little things from time to time. We can talk a bit more about cleaning those up and that sort of thing. I want to talk for a second about deleted items. Your deleted items should always be, constantly emptying that, and don't be afraid to empty your deleted items, because don't ever put something in your deleted items that you think I might want to look at. The way that I look at my deleted items, it's like the garbage can in my office. I don't have a piece of paper and I put it in the garbage and go, well, don't empty that because I might want to look at that garbage tomorrow. So don't empty my garbage, right? You wouldn't do that, right? You only put stuff in there that you're not going to take out. Same with here. If you think you might want to look at it, again, put it where it belongs. If you have to do something about it, then do something about it, right?
Is there a benefit to deleting them?
To deleting?
Or do you just feel better about it?
It doesn't take up so much space.
Yeah.
And then it's just cleaner. Why? Like you have a deleted items of 6,000 items. Why?
Makes me feel good.
Okay, then you go ahead and keep them. That's all it takes to make you feel good. Yeah. But I mean I guess I talk to a lot of people that I'm looking at their Outlook or even their desktops, and their garbage can is just 1,000 items, and I can I delete this? No, don't delete that. I need to look through it. There might be something in there I need. Oh, well, why did you put it in the garbage if you think you might need it? Right? And if you want to put it in the garbage and not empty your garbage, well, that's up to you. But it shouldn't be there because I might want to look at it again. Right?
But I don't know if it pulls up in the searches, but sometimes when you're looking at like a thread of messages or whatever that all have the same subject line, you kind of pull them all up. If for some reason you have to track back to the first conversation, I don't know. I kind of just like keeping up the full series of conversations, even if they're.
But you wouldn't put something like that in the deleted items.
I kind of do like say if I get like an email response and we're on to like the sixth email in the conversation, like I kind of delete the prior ones because I don't file them all away. I'll keep the one at the very end.
I
So
see.
conversation's over, I file that one away. All the other ones I delete them.
Right.
Um,
And that is an option because theoretically you have all that information in the last email.
mhm.
It just requires a bit more maintenance, a bit
Yeah, you
more
have to
work.
scan and read
Yeah,
backwards.
it's a bit more. But I mean, sure, that's another method. But still, if you're putting them in your garbage can and not emptying it because you might want to look at them, right?
Back to previous statement.
Yeah, exactly.
My garbage can overflow.
So the other thing that you might have in your inbox and from emails, you might want to have an appointment. Okay, so let's say Jared calls me and or sends me an email and say, "Could we get together next Tuesday for lunch?" And I go, "Sure." So I'm going to take that email and I'm just going to grab it and I'm going to drag it and I'm going to drop it down on my calendar down here and let go, and it's going to pop up and put that whole email into a calendar item. All right, and so you might want to change, and then you can change the title if you want. At that point, if you can spell lunch, and then of course you can change the time, you can change the date, you can change anything you want in this appointment. And I really like calendar. I like using my calendar largely because it's tied in with my phone, and it just keeps me on task. So any appointment that I have where I have to be somewhere at a specific time and doing something, typically I'll create a calendar item. So consequently, a lot of my business, my appointments with my customers are calendar items, right? And that kind of thing. I'll create a calendar item, and then I also categorize them with a color code. I've got all these color codes, and because I put my dance stuff in here too, so I've got things that are canceled, different classes, whether it's a personal item, whether it's a TLC item, whether I need to invoice that, whether it's a yearly recurring. I've got all these color codes so that if you go into my calendar down here, you'll see that I got all kinds of colors and all that kind of stuff. Red is good. That means I get to invoice those guys. See, green is over here. These guys are all invoiced. And so that's the way that I do it. And you can also do that in your mail as well. Go ahead.
So one of the things that we need to be careful about, or just to kind of, if you could show us a little bit, we may need to talk about this next time, is if I go and take an email and pop it in the calendar, well now that's your personal calendar in Outlook. But we have multiple calendars shared with us in Outlook. So the challenge we run into is I'll create an event, but actually create it under Joseph personal, or Joseph at Xfinity.com, not Joseph at Xfinity.com NGV or holiday event or something like that. So once we create an event, how do we transfer that event, or can we share that event? Can we copy that event to another shared calendar within Outlook?
I wonder if I have this other one checked off. If I go back to mail, will it come up and ask me which calendar do I want to put it in?
And yeah, to go along with that, I was wondering, like when we had Gmail, it always seemed to be so easy to have that reminder pop up in your inbox. But now, like with the shared calendar, you don't really ever get those popping up in your inbox.
Oh yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
I need to look into that.
It's kind of a mess. It feels like the calendar to get it going in the right calendar spot.
Right. Okay, I'll look into that and see if there's another way to do that. To put it into a shared calendar.
We're shared calendar dependent, but we're a little
right.
rough around the edges.
Yeah.
I think that would solve most of my issues if it came as an email. Whenever who created it sets that, because like on Gmail it'd be like remind me an hour before, or remind me a day before, and I kind of miss that, just the simplicity of that.
Right.
And unfortunately, I get all those because I'm the one that shared. I'm the owner
Oh, yeah,
of all
you
the
get
things. So, but they don't get any of that. So NGV doesn't remind us, everyone, all the attendees that there's a meet. Like it should remind the attendees that there's a meeting, but I don't know why it doesn't do that.
I get it if I've accepted to the meeting, like I got at least in my reminders just before the Outlook review.
Yeah,
Oh,
it popped
because I
up.
sent it as a.
But if I create a calendar item, so even if it's not in my home calendar, even if it's some other calendar, let's say this one over here, okay, which is a shared calendar that I have, and I go in here and I create an event, or whatever, and if I invite attendees, all right, that's going to remind you.
Mhm.
That's going to put it in your own calendar. That's going to put it in your mailbox.
But
and
if
on all that
Amy
stuff.
sends she'll do an NGV one, but that's on my account, so I get flagged on it. But she is that.
Like something. I mean, something simple. If you don't put attendees in. If it's just a general, and maybe that's what we just need to do. Maybe we just need to put attendees in everything.
You need to invite people to it.
I mean, if it's something simple, like, I don't know.
Yeah, the intent of
Lunch out or Joe's vacation,
It's
exactly.
not simple.
But yeah, stuff like that.
you can't. We're talking about two different things here. If you want everybody to be reminded of that event, you have to make them as an attendee.
Yeah.
And that's because otherwise, if you create an event in a shared calendar and everybody that's shared with it gets reminded of that all the time, that's not the point of the calendar necessarily, to remind everybody of these events that is shared with the calendar. So if you want people to be reminded.
I guess we could make like an email rule so that Joe's automatically forwards that if we wanted to make it on everything.
Yeah, I mean,
without having to invite all the time.
It depends on. I mean, there's so many things there. Like, it depends on how many calendar items do you want that everybody wants to be reminded of.
Yeah. I don't know what it all is because we never see it. So.
Yeah, usually it's meetings, and then you guys.
And we probably need to talk a bit more about that and create some rules around that and decide what the options are. Because of your shared calendars, and maybe we're not doing shared calendars right. And if we need to talk a bit more of the intention of shared calendars, okay, this is the way that they're going to work. So here's the rules on how to create things and stuff like that.
Because I feel like we could probably get away with one calendar and then doing the color categories within that calendar. Like, I don't think we need to have 5 separate calendars.
No.
Like Xfinity vacation calendar, NGV calendar, holiday, or.
Well, you shouldn't have anything
calendar.
NGV at this point.
That's what the shared Xfinity calendar is called. That's the problem, and that's, I think, partly what's making it confusing too. It is just it's kind of oddball.
Well, that's something that we can
carried
review.
over
We definitely need to review that shared calendar thing and clean it up and like, what do we really want calendars for?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Because if we color code a public calendar, one public calendar, and everything's color coded within there.
And you can, I believe, I could be wrong, but once it's in like a shared calendar, you could also copy or share that event with your personal calendar, right?
Oh yeah.
So you could have everything there.
Because you could send it.
When you really want to see, you could share it in your personal calendar.
You could send it to yourself.
Yeah.
And it'll go to you. So when you create it in the shared calendar, you put you in the to thing, and it will bounce back to you, and it'll be in your own calendar.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, that's kind of not a bad way to do it, I think, because then basically all the items in the shared calendar are also in your personal calendar, which really isn't your personal calendar. It's just your own calendar in Outlook.
Yeah.
And you want to know about things, that they're just initially created in the shared calendar.
Okay. Well,
we could talk about that another time.
Yeah.
All right, let's uncheck that. Let's go back to mail. And let's talk for a second then also about creating tasks. Tasks is another thing. Tasks are different than calendar events because they don't show up in the calendar. They show up in the task list. And I would use tasks for something that isn't hard and fast on a necessary time like lunch on Tuesday. If next Thursday I have to go and check my backups or something like that, I'll create a task, sometimes a recurring task. Some of my recurring tasks are annually recurring tasks. Once a year I get reminded, invoice this guy for his domain or something like that, right? And so there's all those different kind of tasks. And so the same way you would do it, you would take it, bring it down and drag it onto tasks. Now we go down here, we go, uh-oh, tasks isn't here. What am I going to do, right? And so let's just, since that came up, you can put as many things as you want down in this tray. You just click on this and go navigation options and you go, how many do you want? Well, I want to be able to see my tasks and I want to be able to see notes. And so I'm going to do that, and now I can, those show up there. So now I can go down here and I can drop this on tasks, and it's going to bring me up a task. Now it doesn't assign a date to it. It doesn't assign anything to it. You have to go in and do everything. So you would go in and assign a date for today, and then you also have to assign the reminder. When do you want it to remind me? I want it to remind me today at 3 o'clock. To, buzz off, right? And so then I'm going to save that. And the nice thing that I like about that is the text from that email is in this task. And so I have all that information there. So even if I'm on my phone and I get that task, I can look it up and I have all the information. Quite often, if I get an email from somebody saying, hey, can you come over sometime? I need you to check for viruses on my computer, and they give me a bunch of information. I just drop it in my calendar, and I know that it's there. When I get on site, I can look in the calendar item. All the information that they sent me is there, and I find that to be pretty helpful. I go save and close, and it's gone. And then I would basically take that item that I created the task for, and I would get rid of it. This one is actually City of Spruce Grove. Where is that?
Doesn't exist.
No, they exist. I just called it something stupid. Oh, it's probably under our archive. Yeah, right here, City of Spruce Grove. The ones that I don't do very often, I keep in this archive list. Otherwise, my list gets too long, and I can't see it all on the side. So that's the benefit of creating some of these subcategories. These are my more common customers. And then I would take it out of my inbox because I have a task to remind me. I don't need it in my inbox anymore. Today at 3 o'clock, I'm going to get a pop-up saying, buzz off. Yep.
Let's talk about, so within that task, there's two things I'd like to talk about is assigning the tasks.
Right.
So certain emails, rather than maybe just forwarding it to someone, you might want to assign myself or someone else to actually do it.
Yeah, so you would assign a task, basically like that, and you send it to them, and now the task is theirs.
One of the rules that I think it'd be kind of nice is on the follow-up, if you hit the flag there,
yeah.
Is you can add a reminder, which will actually bing up, so at the bell. So it doesn't seem to be on that. Oh, maybe on a straight email, you can actually have a reminder set for them too.
Right.
So I like the reminders because then it automatically bings open in the window. If you just set a task, it normally doesn't pop up, right? So other than if it's a calendar event, I think. So
No, it should pop up. The
Yeah.
task.
yeah.
Well, we'll find out because I have it set for 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So
Might only do it. I have a reminder or it's in the calendar, like my own calendar.
Hate tasks.
You hate tasks?
Yeah, they seem to get lost every time somebody assigns me a task.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And then it's not in my email anymore. And I'm like, where'd it go? It's gone.
yeah.
So-
Well, but you don't you don't.
That's a good.
Okay, well, let me talk about that because you don't need it in your email because it's going to remind you to do it. It should, anyways, give you a reminder when it's time to do the task.
I don't know if I've ever gotten a reminder.
Well, then the reminder must not be set like you said.
Yeah, like do you get reminders on when I assign you a task?
No, I don't accept them now.
Steven!
Otherwise they leave my inbox.
Yeah.
And
I do the
my
same
task thing is just garbage. Like
So-
I go in there and
So
there's
maybe
like
there's a better way to
no
use
sorting
something like
order. Like
that. Yeah, the tasking is a disaster.
You
So
need to
let's-
set that reminder, like you said, though.
So let's close out of that, and then let's talk about the view, because maybe I know how I have mine. If you go to the mail, and let's talk about the view.
Okay,
of your
so-
Outlook.
Yeah, I shut my normal view off a little bit, but you can have your tasks come up and you can see them on the side here. So basically, if you down and hover over task and go up to this little doodad in the corner and click on that, it'll basically dock your tasks over on the side like that, like this over here. Now you can see basically your tasks on the side all the time. And you can also do that with calendar. And it can show your calendar like that. And
It's
yeah,
really handy when you have 50-inch screen.
yeah.
I'm gonna have no more room for email.
So that's and I like to have that stuff up. I don't put tasks so much because my tasks all have reminders, every one. And so I never create a task without. To me, a task without a reminder is useless, right? What's the point? You know, I mean, that's like putting it on a sticky note and sticking it somewhere. And, you know, how do you expect to remember to look at that sticky note next Tuesday at 3? Magic, you know? And so you got to basically have a reminder. Otherwise, the task is just not functional.
And so by doing it this way then, like for my collections tasks when I assign them, then everybody should see them when they're supposed to be done.
Well, if the reminder is said,
No, because it'll show when like
'Cause
the
I
last
assigned it
date.
Yeah, I assign it a date range. I can assign it an error date range, I guess. But
well, no, but if you look at the task, let's create a new task.
The reminder is like today's date.
So if we create a new task, you have the date range, start date and end date.
yeah,
But
so I
this is the
usually-
reminder date that you need to set.
Oh, see, okay, and if I click that, that'll remind them then.
And then, yeah, it'll basically, so then you set the reminder. So let's say you
Well,
set,
that may not remind them because you need to assign it.
if you're assigning it. So and again, I haven't assigned a lot of tasks. I'd have to do some research to see how that works, which I can do. So I would have one from Sunday the 11th to the 17th, and then you could set the reminder for the 11th at 5:30 a.m. Wake you up, you know,
No.
or whatever time. You
So
know,
then if you hit assign task now, will that stay the same?
what's that?
So if you hit assign task now,
So if we go assign task,
so then the
and
reminder disappears. So that's
right,
not
so you might
how
have to, but then you can go up here, and let's do this then. Let's go here. Let's send one to Joseph.
No.
And let's go follow up, and let's add a reminder to follow up, and let's add the reminder. Yeah. So then it adds the reminder. Go okie doke.
But I think that's for you, not for them.
Yeah, see that's the problem I guess then. I mean,
Send. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Because when you flag someone on an email,
Okay.
you can flag a
I haven't worked with that assigned task stuff much. Let me do some figuring out on that. And just because if you're not setting a reminder on an assigned task, they're useless.
yeah, because I mean otherwise I go through because then they stay in my task box and.
It's
Yeah.
you saying, I hate tasks.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I go through and I basically harass
Yeah.
them the week later saying, hey, send a status report to them. Hey, what's
Yeah.
happened with this
Okay.
one? And that's how they're.
Well, I'll do some poking around and I'll figure that one out. You know, so that I know exactly how that
There's
works,
a more effective way.
and
of
we
going
can
about this.
set up
Just
some
leave them
rules to
unread
do
in
with
my
that.
inbox.
And then you just sort through to when you want to do them. And,
Yeah.
So the other,
I prefer receiving those like on the website, like under I don't know whatever thing you could use, but like right on the partners page. So that's instantly what I go and do is I copy the information. I go to that partner page and I make it unresolved, and it stays in my unresolved things on the website until I deal with it. Because yeah, that's the only way I can get away with accepting the task. 'Cause I know it's going to leave, and I'm probably
And
not
it's
going
just,
to see it again.
it's just gone.
So
It
then I-
disappears forever.
Then I manage it.
you
from
can go
the
find it in your
website.
task list.
Maybe.
No, not maybe.
If you sort, if
You
you
can.
sort that way,
Yeah.
it should show up, right?
Yeah, I think mine is sorted weird when I go to the task page because it just looks jumbled.
Because
So
there's
there's either nothing there, and I'm like, I just accepted a task,
So
or
when you,
everything's there.
let me
and
show you a little
click
trick
off
here.
and it's hidden.
when you go to tasks, you need to look on the side here because you might go to to-do list, and that's all weird. Like, what is all this crap? I don't even get all that. But here's the tasks. Here's my tasks for mine, and there they all are, all mine. I never go look at this list, but there they are. Basically, I've got some tasks coming up here. These ones are red ones are recurring ones, and
I really do think the less we do our inter-office emailings, like the more efficient we could be. Like if we're all using the website the way it can be used, and so yeah, invoicing. Like you do that for me with your logistics notes, and that's awesome. Like I see the logistics note right at the top right of the website. And if when you send it to me by email, I go and I copy that, I go to the partner page, I paste it, and I make a logistics note for myself. So like I basically take that email and then do the legwork.
Yeah, and the reason you'll get emails instead of the notes is
Just
just
like a
if
forward.
it comes up when I'm doing logistics, because I'm all working in Access and Outlook. Is that why?
And I like there's benefits to that as well because I see it instantly, where I might not see your logistics note until a few hours later.
See, the thing about Outlook is, I mean, it is actionable. The problem we run into is not everyone is like Amy, for instance. You can't really have any communication with her because she has no need to go into the website.
Yeah, like whatever you're talking about, I honestly don't know about.
And but it's the same version as you guys saying on task. So we're having a disconnect there, where I think maybe the tasks aren't working. Maybe we need to send an email and then they need to flag themselves on that email.
oh, there, see,
How's off?
and I have the option here to snooze for 5 minutes,
Do it.
or I could
Snooze
snooze.
That's not what he's talking
I could snooze up to 2 weeks,
Oh,
even
just install
better.
you on here.
and I'm all about that.
Buzz off.
You know, so
But that's a good point. I mean, so if what Amy's sending isn't working, then rather than it being inefficient, I mean, maybe it going to the links probably isn't the best solution for Amy because it's the same difference. She's not going to do it because she's going to have to log into links and figure that all out.
It is the future-proof way of doing it though, because as we integrate Access, Amy is going to be on the website.
I think that this is not a technology problem. This is organizational
Yeah,
problem.
Absolutely.
it is.
You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, so I'm just saying all that because I need to leave soon.
Okay.
But you know, so anyways, there's a few things, and of course, if we can just go back to Outlook for 1 minute, there's also different ways to, of course, lay out your page here a little bit. You can go to View, and you go to Reading pane. You know, I like it top to bottom. Some people like to the right. You know, and of course, then you adjust it and do it however you want.
That's what I do.
I mean, it doesn't really. It's personal preference, and that's kind of irrelevant. You can get rid of it altogether and just show all your emails. You don't have any reading pane at all. You know, I really like the reading pane. So these are some things that you can play around with, and don't be afraid to go in there. And now the only thing with all these little things that you set up like that, the more you personalize it, if you ever, when you go home and load Outlook on your computer at home, it doesn't save those personalized. It comes back to default. You have to recreate them all again because that information is stored in the registry of this computer, right? So,
Cool.
and everybody knows how to get into Outlook online, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt.
It's a pain in the butt to get there,
I
or it's a
don't
pain in
know.
the butt to use.
I don't know how to get the other inboxes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there are some limitations.
Because I want logistics.
Okay, no,
But I never
okay,
want-
let me show you. No, there is a way to
Yeah.
get there.
Okay, cool.
So I go to portal.office365.com if you didn't know that already.
I go to webmail.info.
Yeah. Okay. It'll take you to the same place. No, it doesn't work. How come? Did I lose my email? Let's go to my.
I downloaded the Outlook web app and it remembers my password. I just click on it, it opens up,
OWA is pretty. You've used that quite a bit.
Oh, I hate that one.
and then you click the folders and the
You
shared
don't like
ones.
No, it never gets rid of the red notifier. It's always there. I can have no emails and it's always there.
Okay, let's go
Yeah,
to.
It's got all the shared email
I
in
think
it.
I have. Does it? Yours gets the share?
Yeah. I don't know if you like there's the shared email, like that's info.
Yeah. I
And
don't think I have logistics. That's the one you have logistics?
no. That one never got resynced. Yeah, I didn't have to log in. I just clicked this thing, OWA app.
Yeah. All I have is Steve.
You scroll down to the bottom.
Yeah. This doesn't give me info at all.
SteveAK.com.
Weird. I don't know why.
So to get to any of the shared folders that you need to get to on here is basically you click on your little
Your head.
the ghost and you go open another mailbox and then you wait for a second and you put in what do you want to see?
Logistics.
Did I spell it all right?
Do you have the other ones on your web app? Like on.
I can get them all on this one. I can never get them on my phone.
Then you go open.
And I can never get them
Opens it
on
it opens it in a completely different tab, so you could have your own mail, logistics, and whatever other shared ones. So here's all your logistic mail. So there is ways there's a way to open it in here, which is kind of handy sometimes.
Do you know why Steve's app isn't showing as shared? And like for Jonah, we don't have logistics on it, but we have influence sales on our app.
Yeah, the app's the main one for me.
Is
I
it
don't
because
know.
we haven't shared it on OWA though?
No, it should all be no. You don't. I mean, you're talking about the inboxes or the calendars.
Yeah. No.
Well, which?
Like on the app, if I go to my folders, I have influence sales, but I don't have the logistics folder or email here
Unless I haven't, but I thought I shared everything out to you guys, but maybe I didn't.
because we have it on our Outlook,
Oh, do you?
like in our.
Then I don't.
offices.
Then I can't say I'm not. I don't use OWA, so I'm not real up on that.
Maybe
Yeah, and I can't figure it out
delete
on-
it and reinstall it.
Maybe.
I don't know. What do you see on yours? Just.
Mine's just my inbox. I don't
Oh.
have info. I don't have logistics for sales.
But I might have to. Let me look at the settings on the folders because those are shared folders and see what we got. So. Okay, so that's the first shot at this. We'll probably. I think the good thing about this is it exposes some of the communication
I think so. I
issues,
think that's really good.
and so figure out exactly how we're going to use Outlook.
Yeah.
How are you going to do the website? What things you're going to communicate where? Because you're not going to find one tool fits all.
Mhm.
It's just not going to happen. Unless you
That's
build
an
it.
expensive tool.
Yeah. So 43 minutes.